Greetings and welcome back to the channel. I am Dr. Samuel Adebayo, and today we're diving deep into the turbulent waters of American politics. Over the next hour, we'll be dissecting 15 shocking gaffes made by former President Donald Trump. Moments that could have derailed his political aspirations, moments that left the world speechless. These weren't just slips of the tongue, they were pronouncements, actions, and statements that shook the very foundation of American political discourse. Stay tuned as we analyze their impact, the public reaction, and the political maneuvering that followed. Remember to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our upcoming videos. Like this video and share it with your friends. Let's get this conversation started. Our journey begins with perhaps the most infamous scandal of the 2016 presidential race, the Access Hollywood tape. In this leaked recording, Trump, then a reality TV star, makes incredibly vulgar and offensive comments about women. The language was shocking, the content appalling. It sent shockwaves through the nation, prompting widespread condemnation from both sides of the political aisle. Many prominent Republicans withdrew their endorsements, fearing the potential fallout from such a blatant display of misogyny.
The media had a field day, dissecting every word, every phrase. Pundits debated whether this marked the end of Trump's campaign, while voters grappled with the implications of his words. The impact was seismic, leaving an indelible stain on his image and raising serious questions about his fitness for office. Yet, despite the uproar, Trump remained defiant, dismissing the recording as locker room talk.
In August 2017, the nation watched in horror as white supremacists descended upon Charlottesville, Virginia, for a rally that turned deadly. In the aftermath of this tragedy, President Trump made a statement that would further inflame tensions and draw sharp criticism. Instead of unequivocally condemning the white supremacists and neo-Nazis involved, Trump stated that there were very fine people on both sides of the conflict.
This remark, seemingly equating the hate groups with those protesting against them, sparked outrage and disbelief. The public reaction was swift and furious. Civil rights groups, politicians, and ordinary citizens condemned Trump's words as deeply offensive and dangerous. The media coverage was relentless, with headlines proclaiming Trump's moral equivalency as a betrayal of his oath of office. This gaffe was particularly damaging because it struck at the heart of America's struggle with racism and bigotry. By failing to unequivocally condemn white supremacy, Trump appeared to legitimize these hateful ideologies, further dividing the nation and emboldening extremist groups.
Events in Charlottesville, Virginia, in 2017 were a stark reminder of the deep-seated racial tensions that continue to plague American society. When white supremacists marched through the streets, chanting racist and anti-Semitic slogans, the nation looked to the president for moral clarity, for condemnation of hate in no uncertain terms.
Instead, what America received was a tepid response, a statement so equivocal that it left many questioning where the president truly stood. There are very fine people on both sides, he declared, a statement that would go down in history as one of the most shocking and damaging of his presidency.
This statement, uttered so casually, was like pouring salt into a wound. It suggested a moral equivalency between those who marched in support of hate and those who stood against it. It minimized the very real threat posed by white supremacy and emboldened those who traffic in racism and bigotry. The reaction was immediate and visceral. Politicians from both sides of the aisle condemned the president's words. Civil rights leaders expressed outrage and disappointment. And for many Americans, this gaffe confirmed their deepest fears about the president's character and his fitness for office. The year was 2018, and the Trump White House was, as always, a whirlwind of controversy. Yet, even against this backdrop of constant tumult, one particular remark by the president stood out for its sheer crudeness and its potential to damage America's standing on the world stage.
During a meeting on immigration, the president reportedly asked, "Why are we having all these people from shithole countries come here?" referring to Haiti, El Salvador, and African nations. The statement, leaked to the press, sparked immediate outrage both domestically and internationally.
The response from the international community was swift and condemnatory. The African Union demanded an apology, with some member states even recalling their ambassadors from Washington in protest. The United Nations condemned the statement as racist and xenophobic.
The shithole countries remark wasn't just a diplomatic faux pas. It cut to the core of America's image in the world. It reinforced the perception of a president who was insensitive to global affairs and disrespectful of nations with different cultures and histories. This single phrase had the potential to unravel years of diplomatic efforts and goodwill.
As the COVID-19 pandemic gripped the world in 2020, leaders faced managing a public health crisis of unprecedented scale. It was a time for caution, relying on scientists and medical professionals.
President Trump speculated about using disinfectants to treat COVID-19. "I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute," he mused.
The response was immediate and incredulous. Medical professionals clarified that ingesting or injecting disinfectants was potentially lethal. Social media erupted with alarm and mockery.
The White House later attempted to dismiss the comments as sarcasm. The president's words had the potential to mislead the public.
This incident underscored a troubling pattern in the Trump presidency. It was a stark reminder of the potential consequences of misinformation. Donald Trump's presidency was marked by numerous controversial moments on the international stage, but few were as potentially damaging as his behavior towards NATO allies.
During a summit in Brussels, President Trump publicly chastised other member states, accusing them of not contributing enough to the alliance's defense budget. This public rebuke, delivered in front of cameras and world leaders, sent shockwaves through the decades-old alliance.
It wasn't just the content of his message, but the manner in which it was delivered. Gone was the diplomatic tact expected of a US president. In its place was a brash, confrontational style that left many questioning America's commitment to its allies.
The implications of this gaffe extended far beyond hurt feelings. Critics argued that Trump's behavior played directly into the hands of Russia, which had long sought to sow discord among NATO members.
By undermining the unity of the alliance, Trump risked weakening a crucial bulwark against potential aggression and emboldening adversaries on the world stage. This incident served as a stark reminder of the potential consequences of impulsive and undiplomatic rhetoric in the realm of international relations. In the annals of presidential pronouncements, few have been as chilling or as widely disseminated as Donald Trump's fire and fury warning to North Korea.
Responding to escalating tensions with the reclusive nation, Trump threatened a response the likes of which the world has never seen if North Korea continued its provocations. Delivered off the cuff and with characteristic bluster, the statement immediately went viral, sparking a frenzy on social media and dominating news cycles around the globe.
Many were left wondering if the President of the United States had just threatened a nuclear attack, raising the specter of a conflict with unimaginable consequences.
While the White House attempted to clarify the president's remarks, the damage was done. The fire and fury comment became emblematic of what critics saw as Trump's reckless and impulsive approach to foreign policy.
It added fuel to the fire of those who questioned his temperament and fitness to command the world's most powerful military. Perhaps no other event during Donald Trump's presidency exposed the deep divisions within American society as starkly as the white supremacist rally in Charlottesville, Virginia.
When a counter-protester was tragically killed, the nation looked to the president for moral clarity and a firm condemnation of hate. What they received instead was a response that left many Americans stunned and dismayed.
Trump's initial statement, condemning violence on many sides, drew widespread criticism for equating the actions of white supremacists with those protesting against them.
The president's reluctance to unequivocally condemn white supremacy sparked outrage and ignited a firestorm of controversy. Even members of his own party distanced themselves from his remarks, recognizing the moral bankruptcy of his stance.
The Charlottesville debacle became a defining moment in Trump's presidency, revealing a disturbing tolerance for bigotry and intolerance that would forever stain his legacy.
The very fine people on both sides comment, uttered by then-President Trump in response to the 2017 Charlottesville rally, wasn't just a gaffe, it was a political earthquake. The rally, organized by white supremacists and neo-Nazis, turned deadly, and the president's words seemed to equate these hate groups with those who stood against them. The immediate backlash was fierce, with condemnation pouring in from both sides of the aisle.
Politicians, pundits, and ordinary citizens were aghast that the leader of the free world couldn't unequivocally condemn white supremacy. Trump's attempts to clarify his remarks only seemed to make matters worse, further inflaming tensions.
The good people on both sides' gaffe became a defining moment of his presidency, crystallizing for many the perception of him as racially insensitive.
In the annals of presidential gaffes, few are as bizarre and revealing as Sharpiegate. As Hurricane Dorian barreled towards the southeastern United States in 2019, President Trump, in a moment of baffling inaccuracy, displayed a map of the storm's projected path that had been altered with a Sharpie marker. The alteration, a crude attempt to include Alabama in the hurricane's potential path, contradicted the information provided by the National Weather Service.
When confronted about the discrepancy, Trump doubled down, insisting on the accuracy of his Sharpie-drawn forecast, and even displaying an outdated map in an attempt to bolster his claim. The media had a field day, highlighting the absurdity of the situation and questioning the president's grasp of basic facts.
The hashtag #Sharpiegate quickly went viral, spawning countless memes and late-night comedy skits. But beyond the humor and ridicule, Sharpiegate raised serious concerns about the president's credibility and his willingness to distort reality to suit his narrative. It highlighted a pattern of behavior that had become all too familiar: a disregard for expertise, a disdain for facts, and a penchant for prioritizing his own ego over the truth.
The COVID-19 pandemic was a time of fear, uncertainty, and a desperate search for solutions. During a press conference in April 2020, President Trump, in a moment of breathtaking irresponsibility, mused about the possibility of injecting disinfectants as a treatment for the virus.
I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute. 1 minute, Trump remarked. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning? This off-the-cuff suggestion, made without a shred of scientific evidence, sent shockwaves through the medical community and beyond.
Doctors and health experts rushed to warn the public against ingesting or injecting disinfectants, emphasizing the potentially lethal consequences. The manufacturers of Lysol and Dettol, two popular disinfectant brands, issued statements clarifying that their products should never be used internally.
The disinfectant debacle, as it quickly became known, was a stark reminder of the dangers of misinformation, especially when it comes from the mouth of the most powerful person in the world. It showcased a stunning lack of judgment and a disregard for the health and well-being of the American people. The incident further eroded public trust in the administration's handling of the pandemic and left many wondering if the president was taking the crisis seriously at all.
The events in Charlottesville, Virginia, in August 2017, were a stark reminder of deep-seated racial tensions in American society. When white supremacists clashed with counter-protesters, resulting in violence and the tragic death of Heather Heyer, the nation looked to the president for moral leadership.
In an infamous press conference, he uttered the phrase, "very fine people on both sides," by equating white supremacists with those who opposed them. President Trump legitimized their hateful ideology. The backlash was immediate and fierce.
Diplomacy, my friends, is a delicate dance. In January 2018, President Trump made his infamous shithole countries remark.
He questioned why the U.S. should accept immigrants from Haiti, El Salvador, and African nations. Instead, he suggested prioritizing immigrants from countries like Norway.
The comment was condemned as racist and xenophobic, sparking global outrage. The United Nations and African Union leaders demanded an apology.
This incident damaged America's reputation and strained relationships with key allies. It further alienated the U.S. from its global partners and undermined its credibility.
Now, some might argue that even Trump, with his, shall we say, unconventional approach to communication, couldn't possibly weather so many storms without making some adjustments.
And to be fair, there were attempts, however feeble, to steer the ship away from the iceberg. Following Gaffes 13, where he, let's be kind and say, misinterpreted the historical significance of Frederick Douglass, there was a noticeable shift in his campaign's rhetoric. Gone were the bombastic pronouncements replaced by carefully crafted, or at least more carefully crafted, statements on race relations. For a fleeting moment, one might have been fooled into thinking a lesson had been learned. But, like a mirage in the desert, this newfound composure proved to be short-lived. The lure of the outrageous, the knee-jerk reaction, the tweet sent at 3 a.m., it was all too strong. The Trump train, it seemed, was destined to run on a track paved with gaffes, much to the delight of late-night comedians and the despair of, well, just about everyone else. As we approach the final gaffe on our list, it's important to consider the cumulative effect of these verbal missteps. It's one thing to make a blunder here and there. We're all human after all. But Trump's gaffes were different. They weren't just slips of the tongue. They were often deliberate provocations, calculated to inflame tensions and appeal to his base. This pattern of behavior, this constant barrage of outrageous statements, chipped away at the norms of political discourse, leaving many to question his fitness for office. The final gaffe, which we'll be discussing shortly, perfectly encapsulates this tendency. It was a moment that crystallized for many the dangers of a Trump presidency, a moment that likely swayed undecided voters and contributed to his defeat. Stay tuned, because this is one for the history books, folks. And while you're at it, why not share this video with your friends? Let's make sure everyone remembers these gaffes and their impact on American politics. Well, there you have it. 15 gaffes, each more baffling than the last. From his comments about women and minorities to his pronouncements on foreign policy, Trump's presidency was a masterclass in how not to communicate. But beyond the shock value and the endless fodder for memes, these Gaffes offer a valuable lesson. They serve as a stark reminder of the power of words, the importance of thoughtful discourse, and the dangers of unchecked rhetoric. As we move forward, it's crucial that we hold our leaders accountable for their words and actions. We must demand better, not just for ourselves, but for the future of our democracy. Thank you for joining me on this wild ride through some of the most memorable moments of the Trump presidency. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel for more political analysis, and don't forget to share it with your friends. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and most importantly, stay vocal.